You're listening to the Second Look podcast, where we take a closer look at what we're learning each Sunday at Connection Church to help you grow in your walk with Christ. Here are your hosts, Pastor Joe Terreri and Pastor Dan DeRochers.
Welcome to the Second Look. My name is Tim.
I'm Vaughn.
And we are here to talk about the spiritual practice of fasting. But first, Vaughn, welcome to the Second Look.
Thank you.
First time on the pod.
First time on the pod, dude.
Yeah, how you feeling?
I was just saying before this, literally scarier than preaching on Sunday morning.
Yeah, it's different. There's different lights pointing in your eyes.
A lot of lights, a lot of cameras. Yeah, but it's good. No, I'm excited,
it's
man.
just as many cameras as Sunday. They're just 5 feet from us instead of
that's
100.
Just really zoomed in.
Yeah, that's good. Vaughn, before we get into fasting, before we get into the main topic, you did say feasting was more fun to talk about. So I actually had a food question for you.
Oh boy.
And that's like, what's like one of your favorite meals or like food traditions?
I knew
and you can't say burger patties.
I literally, funny enough, you should see my lunch today.
Is it burger patties?
It's 2 burger patties.
Yep.
Yeah. I threw them on the grill.
Did I not say that before we started?
Yeah, 2 burger patties thrown on the grill. What was it? It was what?
Okay, well, just a favorite meal or like a food. Do you have like a family food tradition with your family?
Dude, yeah, we do. And Delaney and I just did it like 3 days ago. We do smoked salmon, and then you cure it with like salt. You put it in like a 1/4 inch of salt overnight in the fridge, and then you take it out and you soak it. So you get like, we do like however you make the smoked salmon.
Okay, yeah.
We do that with cream cheese. Delaney made sourdough bagels with like onions and fresh dill and like all that. So we do that every either Christmas or Easter. Like that's our
bagels and lox.
Basically, straight up. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
okay,
so
but
good,
family tradition. That's cool.
Yeah. Do you guys have one?
We have random ones. We have around Christmas we do something called Dipsmas. Okay. And Dipsmas is it's just a meal around Christmas time where everything is dippable or a dip. So we make like a buffalo chicken cheese dip. We'll make like some different savory things, and then we'll have like tons of veggies cut up, maybe some naan, and I don't know what else. And then sometimes like a dessert dip too.
Man, that's delicious.
So we call it Dipsmas. Yeah.
The name checks out.
Merry Dipsmas. And the kids get hype about it. They're so hyped for it.
That's the best.
Yeah. But it's fun. And then we periodically will do like the same thing. But it's still like a once or twice a year thing. It's not like a
special.
Yeah.
It's a feast.
Yeah, it's a special feast. Yeah, it's a celebratory feast.
For
like,
sure.
End of the school year, Dipstravaganza. I don't know. Yeah.
That's funny.
So we do that. Sound off in the chat, everybody. What's your favorite food? I'm just kidding. This isn't live. So
no, not quite.
I'm about to get you a little more worried. No. All right, Vaughn. So we're talking about spiritual practice of fasting. Awesome word yesterday, man. Just very biblical, which is always great. I think I think that's something it's a blessing here to be a part of Connection Church, where it's like the preaching is always biblical. It's not overly, I'm trying to word this the right way, but self-helpy, if that's a thing.
Dude, for sure. And I think especially when it comes to fasting, like there's just, especially in certain Christian circles, like charismatic circles, fasting just kind of gets idolized. And so just really wanted to like set up this basis of like, hey, fasting is not the powerful thing. Like there's not power in fasting. There's only power in Jesus.
Yeah, that's good.
But like it's the same with any of these other disciplines, like silence and solitude. There's not power in silence and solitude. There's power in Christ, but it just works to get everything out of the way so that we can receive and be empowered by the Lord.
And I like the quote, just a quote from your message, and just about the motive is more Christ. Right?
Yeah.
The motive is more Christ. That idea of not getting caught up in the hand of God so much that you miss the face of God. That was like, oh yeah. But so on that line though, Vaughn, Matthew 6, Jesus is kind of giving some instruction on fasting to the disciples. And he starts with, when you fast. Like, he's already assuming it's a thing you're going to do. Yes. Like, this is already a practice. He's assuming you're following him. Yeah, you should be doing this.
Yep. Yeah, we see this really so it's funny. Jesus gives this command, when you fast. And then in Matthew 9, what I talked about yesterday, he says, when I'm taken away, then they will fast. So there's all these Jesus saying they will or when, but he's actually in the Greek speaking in a prophetic sense.
Oh, cool.
So he's actually talking to hey, this is gonna happen.
It's going to happen.
My people will fast for me to return,
cool.
which is so cool. And then we see in the New Testament letters that Paul writes and whatnot, there's really no mention of fasting.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But in Acts, we see it really clearly. The early church fasts frequently. Acts 13 is a really clear example. Paul is trying to figure out where to go next. And so they just, as a church, they start fasting and praying and worshiping.
That's cool.
For guidance from the Lord. And then he shows up and then Paul's sent out on another missionary journey.
Yeah.
From that time of prayer and fasting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, so more along the lines of okay, this is a thing we're supposed to be doing. But we were talking a little bit beforehand because, it seems like, especially in America, because I think we can probably only speak to the American church, but people today are probably hearing fasting more from the health community and less from the pulpit, which is 100%. Wild.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you just want to speak a little bit about that. It's why do you think the biblical fast has become more unfamiliar to people?
Such a good question. Dude, it's funny because, I got my degree in this stuff.
Yeah, in health.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was man, I know all these, physiological benefits of fasting. I was I could pull this out. But then I'm well, it's funny because the spiritual benefits, they just are so much better and more important than the physical ones. And it's just okay, what am I going to use in my little allotted time? Well, I'm not going to talk about the physical benefits because I'm not a doctor. And there are so many physical benefits to fasting that are there, and those are real benefits and they're great. But the spiritual benefits are just what we're really trying to stay focused on.
Yeah.
And so culture's going to see intermittent fasting. They're going to talk about all that. And it is sad that our Western church doesn't touch much on the practice of fasting.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably just one of the big reasons as to why is probably because there's just a satisfaction of the world. And so when we
we feel we're filled.
Yes.
Already.
100%.
When we're not.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah. You're filling up on all the things of the world, whether it be food or it be entertainment. And then when you're filled up on the world, well, then there's no real desire to start longing for and hungering for a godly thing like Christ.
Yeah.
So that's kind of probably why, and John Piper speaks a lot about this, where that's one of the reasons why the Western church is failing in the fast, is because we're so filled up on other things.
Wow. Yeah.
But
yeah, it's easy in the United States if we're not lacking, quote unquote lacking, in other stuff, to feel like we're filled when we're not.
Yeah.
So going back to Matthew 9, so Jesus makes this clear connection, fasting to the absence of the bridegroom. And so just to go back to what you already said, just how does that image help us understand the real purpose of fasting?
Yeah, so it's very rooted in Scripture, one, but also early church history, because the early church, if you read their first century writings, what you're going to see in the Didache is a lot of this language of Maranatha, which is the Aramaic for "Come, Lord Jesus." We want you to return.
Okay, yeah.
So all the early church is longing for is the return of Christ. A lot of that's rooted in the fact that they're being persecuted, and so we as the Western church, we're in a season of peace in the church, which is awesome. Praise the Lord. But that persecution really drives you to return for the long of Christ. or return for the long for the return of Christ.
Yeah.
So we kind of, in that regard, like really miss a big reason for the fast being for the return of Christ. But Jesus makes it so clear and direct in Matthew 9 that like, no, this is the biblical motive and basis for your fasting. And he's tying it to the very reason they started fasting in the Old Testament, which was because the presence of God left and they were longing for the return of God.
Yeah.
And then Jesus is there and they're like, all right, we're not going to fast anymore.
Yeah,
like
he's with us.
Yeah.
He's here.
Yeah, dude, it's so beautiful. Just like the difference between feasting and fasting that we see in the Bible, and also why it's so important that as believers we have seasons of feasting on the good things that God has given us, like food.
Yeah.
And then seasons of fasting where we refrain from those good gifts so that our minds and our spirits could be lifted to the gift giver.
Yeah.
Like the one who gives all these things. And so it is also, fasting is just like a really great way to check your heart to see where the gifts are that you've idolized.
Yeah.
And then how can you put those aside to then be able to feast on the gift giver rather than the gifts of God.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and I love, so you talked about prayer, talked about intensified word, and kind of submitting your flesh, not submitting to your flesh, but submitting it to God. But kind of going to prayer, I don't know if this was in all the services, but it might have been one or two of them. When you're talking about Jesus talking about prayer and fasting, kind of like the 1-2 punch is kind of how I envisioned it from what you're saying. Like,
for sure.
Back to back, he's like, yep, these are hand in hand, two things. Like, how do they work together to make fasting more relational and less religious?
Yeah. Because prayer in and of itself is a relational act, but fasting is not.
Okay, yeah.
Like fasting is simply an act of self-denial. But what fasting, as I kind of mentioned in the sermon, is that like fasting works to enhance our and express our longing for the thing that we're praying for.
Yeah.
And so when we separate the two, fasting turns into just like being hungry is not going to make you holy. It's just, you're just hungry. Like that's all fasting does. It's prayer is one of the driving factors in the Christian life that actually makes us more like Christ. And as Paul puts it in Colossians 2, keeps us connected to the head. So if we take out prayer, it's like, well then if the fast intensifies the prayer, but there's no prayer, what's the fast intensifying? It's just like not like there's no benefit to the fast. So that's just and then you end up just doing things in vain, and it's
intensifying your hunger.
Physical
hunger. And that's it.
You're just angry and hungry, and no one's happy.
Angry. So we were also talking a little bit beforehand. You already gotten some feedback from people just who are trying to figure out fasting. So I wondered if we could talk a little bit about that. Like, I think for some people, it probably feels intimidating, or maybe they're discouraged because maybe they didn't know what fasting was to begin with, or they were taught it the wrong way at a previous church, and they're discouraged. So I wonder if we could just talk about if you have any practical tips for people who are unsure where to start.
Yeah, that's good. There's a lot. I would say there's probably two types of people when it comes to fasting. There's the person who asks kind of the question like, all right, what's the bare minimum that I have to do to make this a fast?
Yeah.
And then there's the person who says, all right, I'm ready to do a 40-day fast and just get right in. And there's caution to both, because the reality with the fast, like the fasting can be a very like short practice. Like there's not really a time frame on this. This is why I said Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness. This is a Spirit-led endeavor. So really practically, one way that I see people fast is, let's just say during lunchtime, if you have an hour break from noon to 1 p.m. What you'll see some people do is they just say, okay, I'm going to push my lunch off till 12:45, and I'm going to take the next 45 minutes and just pray. I'm going to get away with the Lord, be in his presence, and just pray for 45 minutes. And then for that last 15 minutes, I'll scarf down my lunch. But like that is fasting. It's setting aside food to engage in the work of God.
Yeah.
So that's really one of the beauties of fasting, is it can be a 45-minute ordeal. Or you just say like, hey, I'm going to skip all of lunch and just totally not eat lunch at all and pray for that whole hour or pray for that 30 minutes and read the word.
Yeah.
And then just break that fast at dinner with your family, because it's awesome to eat with your family and, feast with your kids and your wife and your spouse or whatever. So that's kind of like, if you're hesitant to get into the practice, like there are really very like introductory ways to do it. Set aside 30 minutes and then you can still eat your lunch, but just after the 30 minutes of prayer. Abraham's servant goes and he's trying to find a wife for Abraham's son.
Okay.
And it's like this beautiful story in the Bible, but it's so weird because he comes into this home with this family and they offer him a meal. And he literally says, I'm not going to eat this food right now until the work that I've been sent by my master is finished.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I read it a couple months ago. But it's so beautiful because it's like we can set aside food for a short amount of time just to finish God's work or whatever he's called us to. So that's like a really shortened version of fasting that we can do at work or, in the morning. Say, I'm going to eat breakfast an hour later and just spend an hour in prayer. On the flip side, when someone comes up and they're like, all right, I'm ready to jump at 40-day fast. Like, this is what Jesus did. I want to do it. I would there's a lot of realities to health.
Physical realities too, yeah.
Man, you're going to hurt yourself doing that if you don't build up to that. And there are, dude, crazy when you look at the church in South Korea exploding since the 1980s. Has been blowing up. And one of the reasons is because they're so heavy on prayer and fasting.
Wow. Yeah.
For a move of God, specifically. Yeah. They go off into these 40-day fasts in the mountain to seek the Lord to move. Yeah. And then like they'll go to the police, say, hey, we want to do a gospel crusade. They say no. All right, we're going to go up in this mountain. We're going to fast for 40 days. They come back. The police are like, yeah, dude, do your crusade.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So it's so cool. We see that. But you got to work up to those.
There's some preparation for that.
You got to work up to that. You're going to, like, reality, you might give yourself diabetes if you go that long without eating. You've never done it before. And then how you break those longer fasts is important to, like, do your research on. There's doctors who know how to actually go about extended fasts, but would just really encourage someone who's leaning towards that. I want to go bigger. I want to go harder. It's like, how about you just try consistency rather than one time really big?
Yeah.
Because in the spiritual life, it's never about the spiritual experience. It's always about spiritual formation.
Yeah.
And so it's like the mundanity of doing something multiple times over the span of your life.
Yeah.
Rather than, I'm going to do a 7-day fast. It's like, that's great, but let's just think about like sustainability.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage someone who's really like excited to do it and they don't know how to start and they want to start big. Man, maybe just start with like a 24-hour like dinner to dinner.
Yeah.
And just, eat a big meal for dinner and then skip breakfast and lunch. Break that fast over dinner next day. It works well with like family schedules. That's what I do in my life. I set a time, I set a day of the week and I say for this day, I'll do a 24-hour fast, dinner to dinner.
Yeah.
Whatever day of the week that is. And I plan it in advance. It's not like off on a whim. I'm like, okay, this is the day that I'm going to fast.
Yeah.
Because it's important to like set that ready in your mind, because when the day comes, it's easy to say, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, I think they're bringing in pizza for lunch, so like I'll just do it. Like,
well,
no,
I guess.
Yeah. But if you set apart,
Pastor Joe texted the staff about pizza today.
Mr.
I don't know.
Sticky Buns is coming in.
Oh no. Yeah.
So it's like it is. If you set apart that day, at least you're committing it to the Lord and saying, like, Lord, I want to consecrate this day for you, and I want to just stay committed to what I've the day I've laid out. And then the beauty of the consistency in your schedule, one day of the week, it's the same day every week, is that consistency allows for you to be able to grow that practice.
That's good.
And what you'll notice is like if you do it for a couple weeks straight and you're like, all right, this is feeling good. And then maybe you get to that point where you're like, all right, I feel the Lord calling me to do a little longer than 24 hours. And so maybe you do a 2-day or something like that. And I think in my life, practically, it kind of just looks like it's a set day that I have set aside for a 24-hour, and then there's times where the Lord leads me into extended fasts.
Yeah.
But that's a Spirit-led thing that I'm like, where I feel the Lord calling me to do that, and you work up that tolerance to be able to actually not hurt yourself during the fast, because Jesus is never once coming across as an ascetic, which is like someone who teaches about self-denial and like extreme religious, like, oh yeah, you gotta do all these things. Paul condemns that in the scriptures very clearly in Colossians 2. The false teachers that are teaching, like, you gotta be super self-disciplined. Like, no, and Jesus never once tells us to hurt ourselves. So we should never be fasting to the point where, oh, this is gonna actually hurt my body. Or the people around me.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and I think, I feel like we're gonna have some questions on what constitutes fasting. So you did speak to this in the message. So, but this is what I wanted to circle back around to. I mean, you made a point to like, hey, this isn't just giving up social media for a week, but also talked about at the end of the message, like, this is about abstaining from an appetite. And so I don't know. Now this is on the spot, but what is the difference? Because I know abstaining from an appetite could look like deleting social media for an extended period of time. But it's also, again, when Jesus tells us to fast, he tells us we shouldn't be doing this as a public thing like the Pharisees who are making a big deal and a show of it. So I don't know. That's probably two different questions, but kind of where the first one, where do you think the line is for what constitutes a fast, and then also just the question of like, how do we fast and not make a deal out of it and kind of go against the point of fasting?
Yeah, that was really good. So I had a buddy of mine who was like, okay, I want to start fasting. And so he did a 3-day fast. At the end of it, he came to me and he said, yeah, I realized the Lord showed me that I just need to delete Instagram off my phone. Because he spent the full fast just like scrolling. He wasn't spending time with
actually
the Lord.
Focusing in on.
Yeah, he wasn't praying. He wasn't spending time in the Word. He was just like not eating and spending time on his phone. And the Lord showed him. But this is the beauty of the fast. If he hadn't fasted, he wouldn't have realized that Instagram was an idol in his life.
Okay, that's good.
So the fast works to the food fast. Works to expose idolatry in our hearts.
That's good. Yeah.
So that's why it's really important that the Lord lays out in the scriptures this method of abstaining from food, rather than, and listen, it's a great thing to abstain from like TV. Say, hey, we're as a family, we're not gonna watch TV past 7 p.m. or something like that. Is beautiful. And it is a consecration and an act to the Lord to say, we're setting this time aside for you. But that's not the biblical way of fasting that we see in the scriptures, because the fast works to expose idolatry in our hearts.
That's good.
So that's one of the unique benefits to fasting from food specifically.
Yeah.
Then to the second question, like, there are multiple fasts that we see in the Bible. Old Testament, we see Daniel chapter 10, the Daniel fast, so to speak, right? It's just vegetables and water. He doesn't want to eat the food.
Seeds and nuts or something.
Probably not seed oils, though.
Right.
No seed oils. But yeah, so he doesn't eat the food sacrificed to idols. And so we see different styles of fasting in the scriptures. We even see fasting from drink, fasting from water. But that is just one of those things where it's like, yeah, there's a lot of fasts out there, and I think for medical reasons too, some people benefit to doing altered fasting.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
Like, dude, if you have, here's something really practical. If you're out to eat with work colleagues and you guys have a lunch meeting, but you're like, yeah, but I was supposed to fast this day, but now I have this work meeting with my friends. I don't want to sit at Longhorn Steakhouse and just stare.
Like, you're not ordering, and you're smelling the steak.
Yeah, and it's just
now
weird.
I want a steak.
Because you're.
Why are you?
I'm sorry about
sorry,
that.
Keep going.
Yeah, T-bone. But it's just weird because you're just staring at these people. You have no food in front of you. So what another version of fasting would be is an altered fast, where instead of ordering what you normally would or eating what you normally would eat, you get something different. Maybe instead of the steak, you get the salad. And it's just this way of saying, Lord, I don't want people to really know that I'm fasting. I want this to be a thing between you and I. So I'm going to order something that I wouldn't normally order as a way to say, I'm still going to be in the social context that I'm in, yet partake in this partial fast. So there's different, there's these partial fasts that we see in Daniel's life. There's the full fasting from food that we see in Moses and Jesus for the 40 days. But is that kind of like...
Yeah, I think so. Just to sum a little bit of it up, I think what you're saying is don't be so legalistic on the fast. It's good to just start somewhere and make sure prayer and the word are part of it, and not just abstaining from random things to get more work done during the day, or I don't know.
100%, dude.
Yeah.
100%. That's a big one. When we fast, we think, I have all this extra time now to get work done. It's like, no, you have extra time to get the Lord's work done, which is prayer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, okay, good. Vaughn, so you got to tell me, wedding supper, we're, looking forward to the weddings. Oh, Mission Barbecue. I was going to say, what are you going to order at the wedding feast?
Oh, I hope it's Mission Barbecue.
Oh, yeah,
I hope they cater that up there.
They better. I don't know. They're going to cater something. Well, I don't know.
I don't know if they'll cater. Dude, I don't know. They sacrificed a lot of oxen.
That's true. They were really into like all kinds of sacrificing all kinds of delicious meats.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, before we go, Vaughn, every single service, I got more and more hungry the more you talked about fasting, because then you'd be like, smoked meats, July barbecue, like all this stuff.
Yeah,
and like, now I'm really hungry.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, everybody. But it's okay, because you got to start somewhere.
Yes.
And
if you're already hungry, you're halfway there.
That's true. Yeah, just get in the word and in prayer and submit all of that to the Lord. That's great. Well, you didn't say salmon, so I guess.
Oh, true. Yeah.
I guess that, no, you didn't say
I'd be upset if it wasn't there, but
okay, good.
I don't know if it was kosher or not. So
yeah, right. Who
knows?
Well, thanks for joining us. This has been The Second Look. You can find this sermon and so much more at cometoconnect.com. Have a great week.